class today.
But I got me a few pounds. Let's go. Is it?
I am going to turn this light.
Who's in those?
Everybody else's?
Still missing mine.
You never found you?
No, it's been gone.
Hey. Put my leg up.
Put your legs up.
Get me.
Say move.
Pillow fight.
Smizzy.
Nope. She went to Idaho. She didn't go.
No, we'll have it tomorrow. Somebody comes and washes the cups during lunch.
What?
The cups. The hot chocolate.
Washes the cups. Watches.
What?
Watching cups.
Next week. We're going to have a movie extravaganza. Okay.
What movies are we gonna
Whatever you
extravaganza?
guys are interested
Who's that be? That big guy.
Did you watch the second one?
I barely have the guts to watch the first one.
in. Alright. We had Carrie and Kristen and no Tia? Is there no Tia today? She's not here? She is here. Brandon, Isaiah, Michaela, Ryan, Savannah, Charlotte, yeah, Kurt, Bianca, Morgan, like, so we have everybody except Tia Flower. What? Yeah, except for Cass. Yeah, I said everybody except for Cass.
There's so much technology.
I know. Please consider it.
What?
You can just switch this way a little bit. I have to record myself. I just don't want Colton in the background going.
I barely share with Jimmy L. Never had my headphones yet.
I'm trying to record this on
Oh, there you go. That's the plan.
Coconut oil.
Go. Man, Tammy's from.
Alright. Hey.
What? Got rid of Mrs. Sketch?
These are dear personal items to me that I'm going to use. They're expensive.
Why? It's expensive. Can I get one?
Right. So let's take a deep breath. Okay. Put away any phones, electronic devices, anything like that. Any other homework that you might have out. Let's get focused to be here right now in this room. So, technically, I probably do. Mora is here today. She is observing for my grad school stuff, so just be welcoming to her. That's our
Moira, I like you back yet.
I'm not giving you a test or anything. Okay, so we have this schedule up here on the board. We did free writing the other day. We're going to take 5 minutes and do it again today. This time though, we don't have a lot of time to share. So this free write will be for you. This chance to center yourself, to think about what's been going on for you today, yesterday, in your life. I forgot I was going to bring in some of my journals today to share with you guys to see, so that you could see how much I personally journal and everything that it does for me. You just love the board too. That's okay. We're going to do some journaling right now.
Ashford.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get a paper.
Oh, I'm sorry. So like I said, this is for you. I'm not going to collect it.
Interrupting the following students to report to the office: Crystal Bagwin, Vanna Jensen, MC Mendez, Dominic Pilcher, Jamie Richards, Colton Sierra, Augusta Tripleton, and Tommy Elgord. Thank you.
Okay, well, is he in the back? Okay. So I want to see everybody writing, even if you're writing the same word over and over again, for a little bit of meditation. I'm interested in, first of all, how much people were able to write in that amount of time. It's pretty impressive. There's quite a few people who have about half a page, maybe a little bit more. The style that people chose. Some people wrote as if they were writing an essay, but Kirko, can you hold up your paper and show us? Kirko, were you writing a list or a poem or? So, and Kirko chose to write down. So, does anybody want to comment, not necessarily on what you were writing, but how you felt while you were doing it, or what role writing plays for you? Like, is it helpful for you to sit and write sometimes, or is it hard? Why do you say it's helpful? Yeah. Cool. So things that she wants to say, you write it down. Sometimes try things out first. Or maybe even for me, I go home and I write out how my day was. And maybe it was a bad day. When I write it out, I'm like, oh. Somehow just writing it out helps me release it. Why did you say it's hard? And you do like to ask lots of questions and think pretty philosophically, right? So it's hard sometimes. Philosopher. Maybe a philosopher is to be in your food. Anybody else want to share anything about their writing experience or just their time listening to the music? Did anybody like the music or not like the music? Was it?
I like
It's actually a group called the Dueling Fiddlers, and they are a group in West Virginia that I met when I was there. And they like to mix some poppy songs along with more classical music. So it's kind of neat. I wanted to share that with you. Great. Well, we will continue to do some more free writing as we go along, and it's just a practice of reminding ourselves that writing doesn't always have to be to prove something to someone or to share something with someone else. Sometimes it can just be for us. So you can just go ahead and put that in your binder or do whatever you like with it. And we're going to move on to our next little activity. Or you can recycle it. It's up to you. Okay, so up until this point, we've been working a lot with the interpersonal communication styles. We've talked about those things. Can anybody remember or recall the 5 parts that we're like looking most at? Kirko, you were
Directive, inductive, submissive, aggressive.
absolutely. So as we continue on through this section of looking at interpersonal communication, we're now going to be looking at some pieces of literature and looking for examples of the communication in the literature, specifically those 5 that Kirko mentioned for us. And we're going to be thinking even more about how our communication affects our relationships and how we can strengthen that, what we can learn. So in order to sort of get the ball rolling on this next book that we're going to be reading, we're going to do a little activity where we're going to divide up into 2 groups, and everybody in the group is going to get a post-it note with a word or a phrase or something on it. And within your group, you guys are going to put these together, kind of like how Seventh Hour did it over here. You're going to put them together and decide what you think is going on. These are all words and phrases from the first chapter in the book that we're going to start reading tomorrow. And so you're going to, and there's no right or wrong answers here. I don't expect you to know what wife means, or who it belongs to. But we're just starting to think about what might be going on to anticipate the story that we're going to be encountering. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll pass these out. And on the bottom, there's going to be a 1 or a 2. So how about after I pass them out, 1s can sort of go to that corner over there, and 2s can sort of come to this corner. And you can start looking around and seeing what other words people have. And then I will get out the poster and put it on the board, and you guys can put them up there and start to think about what could this story be about? What could be happening in this first chapter with these people? So I'm going to go ahead and pass these out, and I'm going to split you guys up a little bit and just sort of do it kind of randomly, so we kind of all stick to the same, gel in the same place. So one's over in that corner, two's over in this corner. And a few people might have to have an extra one because
Good.
I have a young lad.
I didn't really read it.
One, two. Okay, so ones are over here, here, and
Kasi no one else came in. One that I did okay.
I did. Are you a one or a two? Okay, I'm switching you to be two.
Mr. Benny and
You get
Mary
two.
Jane, and my first wife.
I said ones or twos. You're over here. You guys all have different papers. You're figuring out what other people have on there and what they like. Fine. You're good. You're good. And then this is where I'll give you the marker. All you're doing is you're putting them together and you're thinking about who these people might be. Like, is it a person? Is the word describing something? Did somebody say something? I meant to be vague. You can't just put it together and make a story out of it. You have to make up your own stuff. You can put them on this, yeah, or you can put them on this. Eventually you want to put them on this poster. So what do we think? No, you're not. I want you to put it on the poster here and you're going to explain. I'll give you a marker and you guys can write up. And you think what it is. You got another one back there too. Isaiah's got one. I want everybody to give their input. So you can put them on the poster when you're ready and write out what you think is happening. So, what was your wife? That makes sense. That's a good reason to think about that. Why? Here's a marker for you guys. What do you think? Which one did you have, Ryan? Management. I didn't want you to just let go of them right away. You gotta talk about it, figure out. No. So you can use the marker to write about them or figure out how they might be connected. And then we're going to hang it up and we'll be able to refer back to it when we start reading the first chapter. Yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right. How do you know Ben's a man? Okay, that's a pretty good reason. Some people might think that Bingley is a town. I need one more. Any ideas? Oh, you want to get two more things in?
Oh my god, can I go there?
Okay, we're close. We have something now.
My cat ripped up her skirt.
What else can you add there to help clarify? Say somebody else walked into the room, didn't know what was going on at all. How could they make sense of this? What can you leave people to see your process here?
No, her dress. It was a dress.
One thing that can show us on the paper and also to the patient. These are my personal markers.
She's so mean.
What can you add to it?
She likes to pull on.
See the style that they're doing up there with lining it up and making it into a little story? That's one effective way you can do it. What you've got here is a good start as well to make them stuff. Gabby, any suggestions? This is part of your grade for today.
After the date.
Alright, 2 more minutes. So you guys need to get it onto the paper, okay? Now transfer it onto here so that we can keep it. And refer back to it. Right. What? You're gonna fail? Doesn't hear anything.
Gonna be a lot of pressure.
2 more minutes, come on.
Don't forget to put it on the
What?
Isn't it interesting how when you start writing out your thought process, you're like, oh, I didn't realize that. I thought of that, and then I think of this, and then I think of that. It's kind of cool. Do you guys remember which ones you even had when I mentioned it to you? Does anybody know what this story is? Have you read it before? You read it before? Oh, you like it? When did you read it? Nice. So you'll be able to offer a different perspective. Alright, you happy with it? Why don't you guys go ahead and put your names on the bottom so that when we get to the first ready for theater class? Are you gonna be in theater next year? Nice. It's fun to finally be able to do that, right?
Even though as we go on, we have to make sure
Okay. So how do you guys in this group feel about what you have down here? If I was to hang it up and then ask you what was going on or what you were writing about. Do you remember? I hate it tonight. No. What's going on? Everybody's pretty quiet. Hopefully this isn't the level of enthusiasm I have. Okay. Well, that's not what we're talking about right now. So, maybe I'll have a step back. Interesting ideas. Alright, so go ahead and take your seats and let's review what we came up with, and then we're going to move on to our exploration of the novel. Because I don't have the one camera that is actually good enough to record from one particular. None of these are actually, those who probably won't have very good sound, and have to do sound good. And they might turn off. What? Okay, so we have two different groups here, and let's see if we can compare what we came up with. Trouble.
Oh, Lizzie,
I'll take some up. I did bring in my personal markers for this, and I would appreciate next time if people would respect my property a little bit more.
How are we on the supplement? I'm sorry.
Just by using them for other things, so they will dry out if they have the top supplement each week. That young red and golden. Alright, so we have Mr. Bennett is Mrs. Bennett's wife, Jane and Lizzie, right? Liza. Jane and Lizzie are their daughters. Lizzie has the business of her life. Bingley is a man of large fortune from the north of England with a sarcastic humor. And Bingley asks Jane if she is married or single. So, without having very much information to go on, you guys put together quite a little plot here, and even if it's not the plot of the story, I think it sounds pretty interesting. Let's see what we've got here. So, we've got Mr. and Mrs. Bennet together over here, Mrs. Bennet being the wife, and the business of her life is connected to Mrs. Bennet, whereas over here is connected to Lizzie. So that's a difference. And married or single is a question about the daughters, which I guess over here is similar because you guys have Bingley asking Jane if she's married or single. And then we've got the daughters being Jane and Lizzie. Lizzie sarcastic. And there we have Bingley is sarcastic. And again we have Jane and Bingley together, and Bingley being a young man of large fortune from the north of England. So, again, pretty similar overall story in some ways, but there are a few differences. And so that makes it even more interesting to me to go ahead and start reading to find out what's going to be happening. So this process that we went through, this prediction, is something that you do all the time, and you do it with just whatever information you have. We're always looking forward to what's coming next. It's a specific strategy that people use in reading.
Thank you, actually.
You're welcome, Nicole. And
She's really smart.
sometimes I think we don't spend enough time really thinking about how we read and how we make sense of what we read. And so when I was thinking about us starting to read this new novel, I wanted to give you something that would not only help you with reading this novel, it's a little bit hard to understand at times, but also something that you could use later on. And so I personally created what I'm calling the 10 Amazing Strategies to Make Sense of What You Read handbook. So I know it's kind of a long title there, but it's exactly what the title says. So some strategies to help you make sense of what you read. So could someone, and then I wrote you a little note here on the bottom. Can someone either read the whole note or part of the note aloud? So maybe Tia and Kirko, you guys can go back and forth with that. Nice and loud.
You may feel like you've got reading under control, but it's more than just saying the words on the page. This handbook will use examples from Pride and Prejudice to illustrate some strategies.
To practice and to show you how you make sense of what you're making, reading your own handbook.
Everything in here has been carefully selected and presented. The purpose is to help you be more confident when reading tough texts, to thereby enjoy the story more and make meaningful connections to your life.
Most of the time, this is exploration, but let's take the interesting and careful and
Alright. So I'm only giving you the first 2 pages right now, and you'll have more as we go along. And I really did want to give you something to physically take with you later on as you start reading more and more difficult texts. And a lot of these strategies may be familiar to you, and you've done them a lot before. But part of the problem is that we don't always intentionally use the things that we've learned at the right time. And that was, remember, one of the words that I put up here at the very beginning of the school year about being intentional in class. Really thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it. So that's why I'm presenting these strategies to you. You've already illustrated one of them right here. We'll get into it again in depth as we go along, but predicting is a strategy that readers use to help make sense of what they're reading and to think about what is coming next. So you've already done So you've already done a good job in that regard. So flip it over to the back of the first page, which most of you are at, and we'll talk about the first strategy, author's purpose and point of view. So some of the people in the class have already picked up on the fact that the story that we're going to be reading next is called Pride and Prejudice, and it was written by a woman named Jane Austen. So this is the book right here, and as I walk around, maybe look at the cover, the title, any other words on it, and see if you can come up with any other ideas that might lead us to understanding what the book is about or what we can expect. Are there any, can anybody pick up on any of the keywords or anything on the cover that would help us know? Do you think it's a modern book? Why not?
Because they have a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage.
Okay, there's a horse-drawn carriage. It looks old. What else? There's a word on here too that might help.
Classic.
Classics. So right away, just by looking at the cover of the book, we're able to tell some things about what the book's going to be about, what we can expect. And having this information is already helping us to figure out the story. because it may be complex, there may be things that you don't understand. But the more information you have going in, the easier it will be as you go along. Isn't that the case for a lot of things? Like, the more information you have about college before you decide whether or not to go there, the easier the decision will be, right? That we like to gather information, but sometimes we forget how useful it is to gather information. So this strategy of author's purpose and point of view, it's clues about why the author is writing. Clues about why the author is writing can help us figure out what they're saying. So I have a key point there, and each of the strategies will have a key point, and then they'll have something called Ashley's process. So if you're not here one day in class, or you want to go back over things, you can go ahead and look at this yourself. That was something else that I've learned throughout the year, is that it's hard for people when they're absent to make up things that we've been talking about in class. And sometimes we don't have enough time to take a lot of detailed notes. So that's why I'm writing it out for you here. So a key point is using clues like the title and facts about the author. Another would be something like looking at the cover or something like that. Obviously you've heard things like don't judge a book by its cover. We're not judging it, we're just gathering information from it. So let's talk about the title here, Pride and Prejudice. Does anything in particular come up for anybody when you think of this title or hear it? Those words?
Stubborn, told to stubborn people.
Okay, so a whole bunch of stubborn, racist people. That's completely possible. So now makes me want to read and think about, well, I wonder what kind of stubborn people I might meet. Or if they are racist, what those problems might bring. So this was my process when I looked at the title Pride and Prejudice. When I think of pride, I think people are proud of something, and I think when I think of prejudice, I think of people making judgments based on insubstantial information. They know something about someone, and someone may judge them based on that one fact, like, she drives a red car, so she's mean. Well, that's not really that much information. Maybe you know somebody else who drives a red car that's mean, but it doesn't really make sense to tie those two together quite like that. We'll look more at the definition of prejudice in a minute. So I think of things like that. Or maybe these are themes in the book, or traits of some of the characters. Like, why would the title be Pride and Prejudice? It must be important in some way. Jane Austen, the author. I don't necessarily have to know a lot about her, but I can assume right now that it's a woman. I mean, there might be a man named Jane, I don't know. And since we looked at some of the things on the cover and thought about it, we decided that the book was probably written a while ago. So in my mind, I'm putting together that maybe since she's a woman and it was written a while ago, that it's about women in another time period. So already we've been able to get quite a bit of information to go into this book without having to do very much research, but just to use the skills that we already have and the knowledge that we already have. And that's something I think also when we get into books that are harder to understand is we think that we don't know anything, when really we have a lot of information and just need to apply it. So something else that you can do is to just look up the definition of words, especially words in the title if you don't know what they are. So what I want you to do right now is to turn to somebody next to you and look at these two words, Pride and Prejudice, the definitions I've given to you there, and you're going to do something called annotate the definitions. So annotate, in my mind, when I think of it, is it's making meaningful notes. It's not just writing, taking out specific notes on something, it's also maybe adding parts of yourself to it. So thinking like pride, okay, which one of these definitions might mean go along with native pride? What kind of pride is that? So maybe making a little note about how these things are related to your own life. So go ahead and turn to somebody around you and read those definitions of Pride and Prejudice and make a note or two to connect it to something in your life. So, any ideas here? What's going on? So check out the definitions and see if there's one in there, like if someone has pride to their children, which one of those definitions? Probably be more than one. What do you think? Do you hear people use the word pride very often? What kind of context do you
What you see.
What about like when I say,
You know the testing numbers today? My definition of regional word
What?
will now be under our
Well, not partially your own definition, but like, what would you relate with each of the different types? Like, if you need to just say, okay, that's a good example, so why don't you write it down?
Actually,
Yes?
can you send Talia to the office? She's checking out.
Sure. I was going to suggest to you that you could read over and finish this last part. You are? Okay. So go ahead and write down a couple of notes. You're annotating these. You're just putting down a few ways that you can connect it to your own life. What do you know about pride? What kind of pride do parents have for their children? Is it? Which definition of pride? Are there any definitions of pride given here that wouldn't be a sin? Okay. So that's something that you've illustrated right there, that sometimes we think of a word in one way, when really when we take it apart, we realize that you can't just judge it based on one definition, right? There's multiple things to take into consideration. Alright, so take another minute or so to write down a note or two about pride and prejudice and relating it to your own life. And then let's share a couple of them. Okay. So, Chris brought up a good point about sometimes we hear these words and we think in general it's a bad thing. But then when we look at the definitions, we realize that it can mean a couple of different things. So when you first came into this, what did people think? Was pride a good thing or a bad thing? So you were thinking bad. Did anybody else initially think pride's a bad thing? It's not a right or wrong answer. It's just what we think.
A little.
A little bit of both. What about prejudice?
Or
Did we find anything in the definition of prejudice that supports it being a positive trait? It is all pretty negative. So, if you had to circle any one of the definitions here, are there one or more that are positive? Of either pride or prejudice. Okay, so maybe number 2 in pride?
I say go 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4? I think that makes sense. as we go into this book and we're thinking about these definitions of Pride and Prejudice, do you have any ideas about maybe our people up here and how these words might affect their lives? Any more thoughts on the storyline? Thoughts of what's going to happen, like what's going to play out when we meet these people? It's okay. There might not be, but it's the idea of putting these things together, putting together the pieces, the little bits that you learn as you go along in order to prepare yourself for what you're getting ready to read. So on the bottom there, we have something called independent practice, and you guys can work on this. We just have a couple of minutes left. And I want you to think about what was the author's purpose and point of view for the film Bully. So this is something that we've already watched, we've already been familiar with. And now thinking about things like the author's purpose and point of view, what do you think that was for Bully? What was the author's purpose? To inform people of bullying? Good. You can sit here.
Não, não, isso é o que eu quero ouvir.
Yes?
Isso é o que eu quero ouvir.
Yeah. Is he? Did you look him up? Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Okay, so Chris had the idea of bullying, or the film Bully, the purpose being to raise awareness about bullying. Could we articulate that, say it in any other way? What was the point of view?
Third person.
Third person, so the person who made the film was not in it. But what types of people did they, what side of the story did they show? The victim side of the story. So this is something that you're going to be asked to do as you continue going on and reading all kinds of texts, or thinking about the point of view of the author. What story did they tell? Was there another story that they didn't tell? And was their purpose to tell all stories or one story? So this is something that we'll think about with Pride and Prejudice, and you'll be thinking about, especially if you're going into the AP class, many of you in here probably will, and just in your own life, to consider, am I hearing all the sides of the story? Am I hearing one side of the story? And what was the author up front about this? It's nice, isn't it? But sometimes you don't always have that option. I'm reading Wicked right now, which is the life and times of the Wicked Witch of the West. The other story.
Oh, I
So
heard
tomorrow,
about that.
what? Oh, did you read it?
I heard about that.
All right. So bring these with you tomorrow, because we're going to go on to the next strategy and actually open the book and start reading.
I'm really saying it on the website. Or you talked about it before there was Oz. Yep. Apparently, Donald's friends are really jealous.
I'm not. And I just want to do because you read their minds. What? Don't hurt me. Oh, now I gotta find it. There it is.
Crystal Madeline from the office.
So that's what we have to understand. And when people are doing it, they can learn faster. So it's not just the book. It's not just what matters is that the people make it easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was good. It was good. It pushed me not to pick up. They did not want to pick up. And you just kept pushing them. And even though it wasn't perfect,
They were more like,
but what I just, I really like it. That was cool. Okay. And here's the thing, and
And it's better for you to be-
yeah, they just died from it. So it's obviously nothing to do with it, right? You know? It's just, could be, and like maybe next time we would change that up, but that's just hard. But the main thing is that we can't push it. That's, okay?
All right, well, we can, maybe I'll go out and just briefly
Yeah.
6 hours, and
Yeah.
we can chat, so you probably need to.
Yeah, I gotta go
figure
through
out-
this, yeah.
I don't even
I mean, we were
I need
all.
to give you more information.
Right,
I don't
right,
know
right.
what
Yeah.
I do.
I think I know what it means, and
Yeah.
I think you're fine. When we get into the special client stuff, we're talking about this, I think it was like, because it's so good.
Yes. Yes.
But it would be good for me to hear how you do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, just so.
And I'll just have to have like some sort of like little narrative, whatever you can write up about this actual lesson today.
And just, and it isn't really something that's you are.
All right. Sorry, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. You're like, I don't care if we have to spend an extra 5 minutes doing nothing. Where is our class today? Is that just it? Are they here?